They are businesses that drive our community, making products used throughout the world. Tonight, we showcase some of the best and brightest companies of the Inland Northwest to show you how they're creating what we eat, how we fly, how we relax, and even how we explore space. This is Made in the Northwest, a KXLY4 News special.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us. I'm Derek Dice.
And I'm Robin Nance. KXLY4 is committed to taking you inside some of the Inland Northwest's best and brightest companies.
Places where you can see where your goods are made, packaged, and shipped to homes and businesses all over the world. Those companies include Purcell Systems, kind enough to host us here today. This facility manufactures and sells outdoor electronic equipment cabinets to companies around the globe.
With about 1,200 employees, Genie Industries is by far the largest employer in Grant County. Its massive lifting gear is used all over the world and in all kinds of industries. Derek Dice toured the Moses Lake facility in our latest edition of Made in the Northwest.
A lot of jobs need to be done up in the air, and the companies that require those jobs often turn to Genie Industries, which is known for its blue lifting gear.
We love to have our Genie Blue out there.
The company's massive boom lifts are made here in this 500,000 square foot facility near the airport in Moses Lake. In fact,
this facility was an old Air Force hangar where they used to do maintenance on the B-52s, and it's a really great place for us to manufacture.
The company was acquired by Terex in 2002, but kept the Genie name because of its brand recognition. Its customers are from all kinds of industries.
That can be contractors, it can be construction. We sell our units to the oil and gas field, to mining companies, chemical plants. So it's anybody who needs to get a job done at elevation.
Genie has 4 different value streams which pump out 30 to 50 finished units every day. The raw materials first come into the fabrication cells,
where they're welded into the weldments that become the machines.
Genie designs a lot of its own technology and equipment using its employees' input.
Everybody on the shop floor gets to participate in improving our processes and improving the quality of our products.
From the fab cells, parts go to the in-house paint shop, where Genie recently invested $6 million. The next stop is assembly.
And that's where our units are assembled by our team members, and then they come out to the finished goods area. They go through a process of testing and quality audits, and then prepared to deliver to our customers.
To see how the lifts work at elevation, I strapped on a harness and headed up.
This 180-foot boom is Genie's flagship product. It's also the first of its kind in the world. And we're told on a good day you can even see Mount Rainier from up here.
So we can proudly say that they have served windmills here in the Northwest. They've been in the Middle East. We have some in Australia. And we get these great photos back from the field of, hey, look at what your equipment has done to solve a need that we could never do before.
Genie recently invested over $15 million into the Moses Lake facility and plans to build its lifts here long term.
So you put together a great facility, a great group of people, and a great community, and it creates a really good win-win for the company.
It's high times for a company that started in a garage and now has products used at high elevations all over the world. For Made in the Northwest, I'm Derek Dice, KXLY4 News.
Handcrafted violins, violas, and cellos, all made locally in Spokane Valley. The owner of Custom Strings takes his passion for woodworking and he turned it into a business. Derek Dice has a story behind the amazing instruments in our latest edition of Made in the Northwest.
Inside Custom Strings on East Trent in the Valley, owner Jay Pryor has been helping local musicians make sweet music for years. And he knows a thing or two about violins, violas, and cellos, having spent 24 years with the Spokane Symphony.
I played professionally since '85. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Pryor went into business after becoming fascinated with instrument repair.
How to work on something that was a working system, and how to change the sound of it, how to repair things that were broken.
Custom Strings is now the main repair shop for 5 school districts and several other schools.
I really enjoy the crafting. I like the problem solving.
Pryor's dream was to open a wood shop with his dad, but they never got the chance as his dad passed away before they could.
I thought it was kind of neat if we could, if after he died, that was something that I pursued and pushed forward and made happen, which is ultimately what I did, and I'm glad I did.
13 years ago, Pryor became interested in handcrafting his own instruments, which took his woodworking to a whole new level.
And I love the aspect of it that I can pick up a piece of wood and I can make something functional with it. And 300 years later, someone can pick up the same functioning thing and play on it.
Each instrument can take months to complete. He's now working on a cello for his son. But you won't find Pryor working with any manuals or models. He says he's learned a lot from his mistakes over the years and now builds the instruments based simply on experience.
You kind of get to know the wood, and you carve it in such a way that it wants to be carved and to get the sound that you want to carve.
He also likes to add unique features to the instruments.
I like to carve different kinds of scrolls. I like to experiment.
Recently, Pryor pitched the idea of making a matched violin and viola that the Coeur d'Alene Symphony could play during a performance and then auction off.
And he's like, yeah, of course, yeah. Well, when can you get started? And I said, well, I started a week ago.
The instruments played well, and now Pryor is looking forward to bringing some needed money to the symphony. Custom strings, violins, and violas usually sell for between $3,000 and $6,000.
So I'm hoping somewhere in that vicinity, but also I'm kind of hoping that they go to a good purpose.
And Pryor will continue with his purpose of helping musicians make sweet music for years to come. For Maine the Northwest, I'm Derek Dice, KXLY 4 News.
They call it your working cowboy store. Hickman Saddlery in Post Falls sells its saddles and other products all over the world, and even opened a second store in Canada 3 years ago. Here is Derek Dice with our latest Made in the Northwest story.
Bob Hickman has been doing leatherwork for a long, long time.
Well, my mom bought me a tooling kit when I was 12, and then just kind of went on from there.
He got a degree in agriculture, but then dropped out of saddle making school in 1981.
Opened up my own shop and lived happily ever after.
Today, Hickman Saddlery in Post Falls has 8 employees in its 5,000 square foot store, and another 3 employees up in Canada who specialize in custom saddles and shaps. The saddles start at $1,600 and go up from there depending on how fancy you want it.
We did a saddle for Roy Rogers and Dale Evans Happy Trails Children's Foundation about 3 years ago, and it went for $65,000, but it was loaded with silver.
Each saddle is completely handmade and takes about 30 to 35 hours to make. The saddle making process starts by fitting your horse for the tree, the foundation of the saddle.
We go out and we travel, and I've been to Edmonton fitting horses.
After fitting you, Hickman's craftsmen cut out all of the pieces and go to work.
We have a custom order blank there, and he follows that order blank all the way down.
Exact height of my...
The tooling is done by Hickman's own nephew, Chad, who he calls one of the best in the world.
The tooling is kind of the cherry on top of the cake. So it's the decorative part, and we can do whatever you want.
Shaps and chinks, a shorter kind of work shap, are also a huge part of the business. They make about 1,200 to 1,500 pair a year.
We build rodeo shaps for royalty, rodeo queens, rodeo bull riders, bareback riders, working people, trail riders.
But that's not all Hickman makes. Its suspenders are shipped all over the world.
We've got stores in Australia that have our suspenders. We have stores Istanbul, Turkey, Denmark, Sweden, Ireland, England, Japan, Mexico.
It even makes novelty items like fly swatters and toilet seat covers, which a famous general happened to buy at a show for his cabin.
It's like, oh my gosh, this is General Norman Schwarzkopf, and he comes over and he spends probably, you know, it felt like a half an hour, but I think it was probably more like a minute and a half.
And Hickman completely stands behind every one of its products.
If you get one of our saddles, you don't like it, something isn't exactly what you wanted, we'll build you another saddle.
And after more than 3 decades in the business, Hickman says he just wants to keep living the dream.
Well, the harder you work at something, the more your dreams are going to come true, and that's basically what happened.
For Maine the Northwest, I'm Derek Dice, KXLY 4 News. It's been the mainstay in Millwood since 1911.
And even though we're 100 years old, we're one of the most modern facilities of our kind.
Inland Empire Paper Company has over 130 employees serving 160 customers throughout the U.S. It deals primarily in newsprint, but can manufacture an unprecedented 40 different grades of paper.
Most of our competitors will produce 1, 2, maybe at the most 3 different types of paper.
Much of its paper is made from recycled waste paper, which comes from up to 1,500 miles away.
We can process up to 350 tons per day of old newsprint, magazines, directory, and shredded office paper.
Its other big source is residual wood chips from local sawmills. About 180 trucks per week are loaded onto IEP's truck dump.
It elevates the chip trucks to about 60 to 70% angle and discharges the wood chips into a hopper down below.
From the chip yard, wood chips are moved into the refiner building. Its thermomechanical pulping system, or refiner,
is utilized to break the waste wood chips down that we're getting from the local sawmills into pulp fiber.
IEP's refiner has 2 35,000 horsepower motors which allow it to recover energy that's produced by its system.
It's reduced our natural gas consumption here at this facility by 75% and reduced our carbon footprint by about 32,000 tons per year.
At this point, the pulp is still 99% water when it's put on the paper machine. IEP starts removing 90% of that water on the wet end of the machine.
We do this both through vacuum, by pulling water out of the sheet, and then also by pressing, by squeezing water out of the sheet.
It then passes through about 30 dryers to evaporate the rest of the water from the sheet. On the dry end, the paper passes through one of 2 calendar stacks where IEP can add a final finish, scan for defects, and make sure the weight, brightness, and moisture content meet the customer's needs.
These jumbo rolls are 220 inches wide and weigh 25 tons apiece. And on average, Inland Empire makes one of them about every hour.
In fact, with 1 day's worth of paper,
you could drive from here to San Diego in a 24-hour period and cover the highway with paper.
Jumbo rolls are then cut down to publisher-sized rolls. In the automated roll wrap system, the paper gets a protective covering.
We then go through and put a shipping label on, and then we put heads on the ends to seal the product for final shipment.
And while IEP is still mainly a newsprint facility, it's also made a shift towards more specialty products.
Advertising, magazines, placemats, packaging materials.
Because of newsprint's declining market, and it hopes the moves will keep it in business for another 100 years or more. From Maine Northwest, I'm Derek Dice, KXLY 4 News.